Every year, Forbes publishes its list of the world's richest people. And every year, the same names appear: Elon, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Gates. We treat this list like a map of power. It isn't. There is a category of wealth so old, so deliberately structured, and so expertly hidden. It has never appeared on any public ranking, not because it doesn't exist, because it was engineered to be invisible. The oldest money in the world owns almost nothing, personally. It sits inside trusts, foundations, holding companies, private banks that don't advertise, passed between generations without a single inheritance tax, growing silently for centuries. The Rothschilds, the Warburgs, the Rockefellers, the Habsburgs. These families don't appear on Forbes. The list was never designed to find them. To understand this, you need one distinction. Money is what you earn. Wealth is what earns for you. A billionaire with $10 billion in public stock is visible, trackable, taxable. A dynasty with $10 billion in private trusts, land, and art collections is effectively anonymous. Think of it as an iceberg. Forbes measures what's above the waterline. The oldest wealth sits entirely below. And unlike tech billionaires, whose fortunes rise and fall with stock prices, dynastic wealth doesn't fluctuate. It compounds. Economists estimate the real figure hidden in trusts and private structures may be 5 to 10 times larger than what appears in any public record. So who built this, and how? Let's start with the Rothschilds. Mayer Amschel Rothschild was born in 1744 in the Jewish ghetto of Frankfurt. He started as a coin dealer. He had 5 sons, and one rule: never divide the money. Each son was sent to a different European capital: Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, Naples. They communicated in code. They shared intelligence rivals didn't have. Within 50 years, the Rothschild network was financing governments across Europe, including both sides of the Napoleonic Wars. When Napoleon lost at Waterloo, a Rothschild courier was first to carry the news to London. The family used that advantage to dominate the British bond market overnight. It was not illegal. It was just faster, smarter, ruthlessly executed. By the mid-1800s, they were the largest private fortune in the world. And then they did something remarkable. They stopped being visible. Holdings moved into trusts. Assets were titled to entities, not individuals. The wealth became legally separated from the people who controlled it. Forbes measures individual net worth. It asks, what does this person own? If the answer is technically nothing, because a trust owns it, then no individual appears on any list. This is not a conspiracy. It is accounting. Sophisticated, deliberate, multi-generational accounting. The Rockefellers followed the same model. John D. Rockefeller was the wealthiest American in history. At his peak, roughly 2% of the entire U.S. economy, around $400 billion in today's money. But by the time he died, almost none of it was legally his. He had moved it into trusts, foundations, and family offices. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. We're taught these are charitable organizations, and they do genuine charitable work, but they are also wealth vehicles, tax-advantaged, multi-generational, strategically deployed. A foundation can fund universities and shape which research gets resources. It can fund think tanks whose papers become legislation. That legislation may protect the very structures the foundation operates through. The Rockefeller family now numbers over 200 members across 6 generations. Their combined wealth is unknown. That is not accidental. Here is where it gets uncomfortable. In 2013, economists Zuckman and Piketty began mapping hidden offshore wealth. Approximately 8% of the world's total financial wealth, around $7.6 trillion, was held in structures invisible to tax authorities. That number has grown since. Then the leaks started. The Panama Papers, the Paradise Papers, the Pandora Papers. The Pandora Papers named 336 politicians from 91 countries: King Abdullah of Jordan, the President of Ukraine, the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. But here is what the headlines missed. These were the people who got caught. The families who have operated these structures for 200 years were not in the papers. Their structures are older. Their lawyers are better. Regulation catches the newcomers. It rarely touches the establishment. We have built a system that taxes labor aggressively, income tax, payroll tax, sales tax, and treats inherited dynastic capital with extraordinary gentleness. A nurse pays 32% income tax. A trust receiving $10 million in dividends annually, structured correctly, may pay close to nothing. The estate tax, designed to prevent exactly this kind of dynastic accumulation, has been gutted over a century of lobbying. The exemption is now over $12 million per person. The lobbying that achieved those exemptions was funded, in large part, by dynastic wealth. The system that allows this to continue was built by the people it continues to serve. These foundations fund the endowments of elite universities. Harvard's endowment exceeds $50 billion. Yale's exceeds $40 billion. Those endowments determine which research gets funded, which economists get platforms. They fund think tanks that produce policy frameworks governments adopt. They fund media organizations, not to control every message, simply to shape which questions get asked. The result is a world where the rules were written by people never fully subject to those rules. Every generation of new billionaires gets held up as proof the system is open. And that is partly true. But old money doesn't compete with new entrants. It shapes the field they compete on. Here is the unsettling truth. The Forbes list is not dishonest. It measures what it was designed to measure. But it was never designed to measure the oldest capital in the world. Every year, we have a very loud conversation about the wrong list. We debate Elon versus Bezos. Meanwhile, structures that predate the United States continue to compound. Quietly, legally, invisibly. There is nothing illegal about a family trust, nothing illegal about a private foundation. The system is working exactly as designed. The only question is who designed it, and for whom. Old money does not flash. It does not tweet its net worth. It sits in boardrooms. It funds the think tanks that brief the politicians who write the rules. It shapes the world not through commands, but through architecture. Mayor Rothschild had one instruction for his sons: keep the money together, never divide it, never let it be seen. 250 years later, that instruction is still being followed. Because when you design the rules of the game, you don't have to play by them. Should dynastic wealth be taxed the same way wages are? Or is this just capitalism working as intended? Drop your answer in the comments. Share this with someone who still thinks Forbes tells the whole story. And subscribe, because every week we go further behind the curtain than the mainstream ever will.